Hey people, good morning guys. Hopefully you are doing well. Hopefully we are getting some really good Fantastic Five results. Really, hopefully you are finding some use in watching these videos. I told you yesterday, Fantastic Five might have been kind of shaky. You might have seen some vocabulary that you weren't used to seeing, or maybe you just flat out didn't understand a question. That's why I'm doing the videos. So hopefully if you had a question, it potentially got answered while you watched. And then the goal would be that you use the knowledge that you take from watching the video, and your score should have gone up today. Even if it goes from a 1 to a 2, that's the goal. And I warned you that we might have some low scores. We didn't have any zeros, which is great. We might have had a few ones sprinkled in there, but like I told everybody else in class, that number doesn't matter to me. Really the number that matters is today, as long as it improved. That's the goal. And I'm filming this Monday afternoon, so I've gotten most of my results in, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had, as of right now, we've got 6 kids who got fives. When really I maybe didn't expect but 1 or 2 on a Monday, especially with questions like these. But overall, I'm super happy with the score, so I'm anxious to see how we did today. I think even if you're getting a 5 on these questions, it's beneficial to watch these videos because I promise they're going to change just a little bit in the middle of the week. Maybe the question that's asking is a little bit different, so you've got to read them. The reading is going to be just as important as the math is going forward. So we're going to go right into number 1. And I was pretty surprised actually with numbers 1 and 2. A lot of people were able to use the knowledge they had from 3rd grade to help them answer these questions, which was great. Number 1 says, which of the following numbers is not a multiple of 8? Remember, when we're talking multiples of 8, basically it's saying I can go 8 times something and get a product. Whatever that product is technically a multiple of 8. So if I look at my answer choices, if I can do 8 times something to get 30, it's a multiple. Or 8 times something to get 32, it's a multiple. Knowing your multiplication is going to make every single thing that we do in 4th grade so much easier. So I'm just going to, instead of looking at my answer choices, I'm just going to list my multiples. And my very first multiple would be 8. Because 8 times 1 gives me 8. Then I would go 8 times 2, 8 times 3, 8 times 4. So 8 times 2, my next multiple is going to be 16. Now, if I look at my answer choices, 16 is a multiple, so I would eliminate that. So when you know your facts, you can go 8 times 3. You can ring these down the line. If you don't, you might have to use repeated addition. You might have to add 8 times, 8 every time, 16 plus 8. Next number plus 8. It's just so much easier to know your facts. So my next multiple, I could do 8 times 3. I'd get 24. Not helping me with any of my answer choices. And really, I could just go one more, do 8 times 4, and get 32. Because if I look at that, I see 32 as an answer choice. I've got to eliminate that because that is a multiple of 8. And you'll notice I skipped right over A. I skipped right over 30 because 30 is not a multiple of 8. I can't do 8 times anything to get 30. And if you look at D, 40, you could just know your facts and say, ooh, 8 times 5 gives me that. Or I could just keep listing down the line my multiples because 8 times 5 would be the next one, and that would give me 40. So if you know your multiplication facts, those aren't going to be very difficult. Those aren't going to be very difficult. And really, if you know your multiples and you know your facts, it's going to help you a lot with number 2, which I'll show you in just a second. So that one should have been 30, which was A, and I'm going to make that required, so you have to do it. A lot of people turned it in without their name yesterday, and that was my fault for not making it required. All right, moving on to number 2. It says, which of the following numbers is not a factor of 24? This is great because this is actually what you're going to be learning about in class. Well, you guys aren't in class, but this is what your lesson will be. The video that you're going to watch after this will be on factors. And I've got some tips and some tricks, some things that'll make it a little bit easier. But really the thing that's going to make it easiest is just knowing your multiplication. So when we're talking factors of 24, essentially we can just look at the answer choices and we can list their multiples. Or you can just know your facts. So if I'm looking at the number 2, 2 times something to give me 24. If I can do 2 times something to get 24, that means it is a factor. If you don't know that off the top of your head, list your multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way on, eventually you would land on 24 after you skip counted by 2 12 times. So if I can do 2 times something to get 24, that is a factor, which means I've got to eliminate it. Now you're going to learn a trick with even numbers in the next video, which will help you. But if you didn't know 2 times 12, you can list the multiples. Same thing goes with number 6, or with answer choice B, which is 6. 6 times something to give me 24. If you don't know that off the top of your head, list your multiples. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 gives me 24. If I can do 6 times something to get me to 24, it is a factor, which means it is also eliminated. All right, we're going to keep it moving. C says 3. 3 times something to get me to 24. If you don't know your facts, list your multiples. 3 times 1 gets me 3. Then we go to 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and eventually my 8th multiple would get me to 24. So 3 times 8 gives me 24, meaning 3 is a factor of 24. So that gets eliminated. So obviously that just leaves us with one answer choice, but we're still going to check it anyways because we're going to give some EOG effort here. If I started with 9 times something to get me 24 possibly. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. I skip right over 24. I can't multiply 9 times anything to get 24, which would mean that it is not a factor of 24. So you can multiply any other answer choice to get 24. 9 you could not, so it is not a factor. So really numbers 1 and 2 work together. If you understand how to find the multiples of numbers, it'll help you with finding the answer for number 2. But like I said, those were really good in class. Monday, I mean, we had 8 out of 10 in the morning and 7 out of 10 in the afternoon. So those are really good numbers, especially for a Monday. Here's where things took a little turn, number 3 yesterday. It's a little bit different today, but kind of the same setup. It says Sally ate 9 cookies. Sonny ate 4 times as many cookies as Sally. How many cookies did they eat combined? Again, if I'm dealing with more than 2 people, I'm a visual person. I like to draw a chart. And the cool thing I saw in, that's fancy. Okay. The cool thing I saw in class today was, I saw this in the morning. I saw 4 people who solved this problem completely different, but they all got the same answer. So you may like your way a little bit better than this, do it. As long as you're doing the right work, I'm fine with that. But if you're struggling, this T-chart might end up helping you. So now I'm just pulling out the information that I got. I know I've got Sally and Sonny, so I'll do Sal and Son. And then I'm just going to plug in the information. It says Sally ate 9 cookies. Boom. The mistake that I was seeing in class, like right here when it says Sonny ate 4 times as many cookies, some people took that as Sonny ate 4 cookies. Guys, he didn't eat 4 cookies. So if you thought that was the case and you did 9 plus 4, you're going to get 13. But it says Sonny ate 4 times as many cookies as Sally. So if it says 4 times as many as Sally, I've got to do 4 times 9. If you know your facts, you knock that out quick. If you don't, we talked about the 9s trick in class. Either way, if you did 4 times 9, you would get 36. Yesterday, people were taking this number that they got on the right side of the chart and choosing it as the answer, but they're not reading the question. They're doing perfect math, but they're not reading it. The question says, how many cookies did they eat combined? So if Sonny ate 36 and Sally ate 9, I've got to take those 2 numbers. I got to add them together. I had a lot of people in class yesterday who missed it, but they did great math. They just didn't do that one final step. They did 99% of it correctly. All right, so in the ones place, I go 9 plus 6. I'm going to get 15. 5 stays, 1 goes. And then 3 plus 1 gives me 4. That would be a total of 45. So this is something we call a multiplicative comparison, which is like a mouthful. And we're going to spend a lot of time looking at these types of questions because they get even more challenging than this. And they can be frustrating and they can take time. It's just something that we're going to have to work on. And eventually it'll get so much easier. But those words times as many, you're probably going to be hearing them in your sleep because of how often we're going to be saying them. But for that one, you should have had 45. If you're choosing 36, you're this close to getting that question correct. All right, number 4, by far the most missed question on Monday. Now, again, I'm filming this Monday afternoon, so I don't know what the numbers are on Tuesday. I expect this one to be like 3 times as good as it was, because really, once you understand what a prime number is, you ought to be able to fly. So again, a prime number only has 2 factors, okay? And those factors are the number 1 and then that number itself. So the example, I believe the answer for Monday's Fantastic Five was 11. And we know that 11 is a prime number because the only 2 factors it has, and remember, factors from number 2, the factors are the numbers you can multiply to get a product. The only things you can multiply to get 11 are 1 times 11. 1 and then the number itself. So I'm going to do kind of how we solved it in class. I honestly don't remember how I did this in the video yesterday. I'm going to write all the numbers out, 7, 6, 9, 21. And I'm just going to list their factors. I'm going to start with 7. So to get 7, I can do 1 times 7, but that's it. Okay, so right out of the gate, we see a number that has 2 factors, and the number and those factors are 1 in itself. So that right there is going to be our prime number. We're going to check the other ones just in case, because look, sometimes you'll think you found the answer, but then you might think that you have 2 answers. That means you might be missing factors for one of your possible answer choices. So if I'm looking at 6, I know I can do 1 times 6. I also know I can do 3 times 2. That right there has 4 factors, so it can't be prime. If you remember, that's what we call a composite number. All right, same deal for 9. I know I can do 9 times 1. I'm getting kind of bunched up here, sorry. But I also know I can go 3 times 3. So again, that's not a prime number because prime numbers only got 2 factors. 9 would also be a composite number. And then 21, you can do 1 times 21, but you can also do 7 times 3. So again, not a prime number. It has more than 2 factors. It would also be composite. That's why your answer would be 7. 7's a prime number. And look, that took me no time because I know my multiplication. There's going to be tricks to make that easier once we get to it. But I'd rather you be able to do it this way. I don't want you to have to rely on tricks or tips or hints, even though they're super helpful. But instead of using a calculator, I want us to be able to use this right here. That's why you got to study those cards every single day. But that one should have been 7. And like I said, I think that one should be a lot better today. Last but not least, I told you this one is going to get a little bit more challenging, and really it should. Yesterday's Fan 5, there was no regrouping. It was just straight up addition. We still got 5-digit numbers here. But each day, my goal is to make it just a little bit more challenging than the last day. I don't want you to rush. I want you to use your fingers. I want you to do your best work. So if you're looking at this number, all my place values are lined up. Starting in the 1's place, I got 9 plus 2. That gives me 11. 1 stays, 1 goes, circle it so you don't forget it. All right, so then you got 7 plus 6, which gives you 13, plus 1 more gives me 14. Again, 4 stays, 1 goes. I'm going to circle it so I don't forget it. In the hundreds place, I go 8 plus 8. That gives me 16, plus 1 more gives me 17. 7 stays, 1 goes, circle it. All right, then I've got 9 plus 4. That gives me 13, plus 1 more gives me 14. 4 stays, 1 goes, circle it. And last but not least, in the 10,000s place, I've got 2 plus 1. That gives me 3, plus 1 more gives me 4. That gives me an answer of 44,741. Again, I had people do awesome work on this one yesterday in their notebook, but chose the wrong answer because they all look similar. So if you look on here, D is the one that matches 44,741, which would have been your answer. So I think really the addition will probably be good all week as long as you take your time and make sure you're clicking the correct answer choice. So I'm thinking you probably went up today. I'm hoping we didn't move backwards because honestly, we never want to move backwards. Unless you might have gotten lucky on a couple of these on Monday. You might have guessed on 3 of them and gotten them right, and you may move backwards that way. Regardless, by Wednesday, so tomorrow, we want to try to be at least a 3. And if you're not at a 3 and you're improving, that's all that matters. As long as we are making the right steps towards the final goal, which you guys know is a 5. Keep working hard. Good luck on all your stuff you got today. If you need me, guys, email me, Zoom me, anything I can do to help to kind of keep you in the loop. Because when you guys come back the next week, I want us to pick up right where we left off. So keep crushing it, and we'll see you guys soon.